I want to quickly show you the format buttons on the format bar for values. The first one, and they're up here in this area, the first one is the format currency, then percent, standard, add a decimal place, and delete a decimal place. And I've listed them here, and I've given us the same number unformatted so we can look at the effect. So I'm going to click on this second instance of 34.5 and click on the currency button, and you'll see that the result is to add a dollar symbol and extend the decimal places to 2. Now I'm going to click on the 0.08 and click on the percentage button, and you'll see that it displays then as a percentage, because 0.08 is numerically equivalent to 8%. On the standard, there is no effect. The number format standard returns the number to the standard format. So if I click on this, we will have that come back to 0.08. And let's put it back to percent. The next button is the add decimal place. You'll see this number has 3 decimal places. We'll add a couple. Of course, when we add a decimal place, it's going to add zeros, but sometimes in order to achieve equally lined up numbers, that's what you want to do. And deleting a decimal place, you'll see that then Excel rounds the number as it deletes a decimal place. Notice too that 15.7 appears in the cell, but the underlying value is still 15.675. And if I were to ask Excel to multiply the contents of this cell by 5, then the answer you would get would be 15.675 times 5, not 15.7 times 5. Just the same up here, although Excel is displaying the extra 2 decimal places, in the formula bar you're just seeing the original number. And the 8% is in fact displaying as 8% in the formula bar, but again, numerically exactly the same. And 34.5 is displaying in the formula bar. So that's a quick introduction to the value formatting on the format bar, which is actually going to do most of what you need. I just want to take a look at the Format Cells dialog box on the Numbers tab, because this is where you can do all of the more complex value formatting that you might want to do. First of all, we'll look at the general number. There are several options on number formatting. First of all, you can specify your decimal places. If I click to 2 decimal places, you'll see that the highlighting has moved to a number with 2 decimal places. Your example here has 2 decimal places. If I say I want 1,000 separator, then a comma is added to separate numbers larger than 999. Long numbers are much easier to read if we use 1,000 separator. And then if we want to show negative numbers in red, I can also make that selection. If I come down to the percent, again we have the same options. We can choose the number of decimal places, we could choose to have 1,000 separators, less likely with percent. On the currency tab, this is where we put the dollar symbol. We can choose the number of decimal places, almost always for currency, except when you're doing stock quotes. That's a good example of more than 2 decimal places, but for business, almost always currency will be 2 decimal places. Take note that we have many different currencies, many different currencies we can use. Finally, we can use date formatting. Spreadsheets do date calculations. They do it by assigning a numerical value to every date in a given band of years, and then they can do adding and subtracting. They can calculate number of days, that kind of thing. And you can control the appearance of your dates. Again, time. So if you're creating a timesheet, for example, and you want to know in and out times and then the amount of hours spent at work, you can use this and you can format. Scientific formatting gives you exponents, so this is 1.23 raised to the power of 3. You have fractions. And then we have Boolean, which is really for if-then logic decisions, and a text function. So you will almost always use number, percent, currency, date, and time. Those are the common ones. And frankly, most of your number formatting will probably be done on the format bar. So just to recap, we can format our values as general numbers, numbers with a specified number of decimal places, as currency, as percentages, as dates and times, as fractions, and more. Remember that no matter what formatting we choose, the underlying number in the cell is not changed, only the way it's displayed. And all calculations will use the underlying number